Okay, welcome everybody to our webinar tonight. I'm Trevor. I'm going to present, and we're switching gears a little bit tonight. The last probably 4, maybe 5 webinars have been really just sort of focused on this one area of SEO, and that's on-site optimization. We've been talking keyword research. We've taught you guys how to organize keywords. We've showed you how to optimize different pages. We did homepage optimization. We did category page optimization. We did product page optimization. So, I mean, if we've done everything up to this point, and I know a lot of you guys haven't yet, which is fine, and some of you guys who are new haven't done any of this stuff. So if you need to go back and review a few of the optimization webinars, that's really where you want to be right now. You want to have done some optimization. But even if you haven't, tonight's going to be valuable because we're going to talk about that whole other part of SEO that we haven't really discussed thus far. Because the optimization part is really only half of SEO. The other half we're going to start talking about now. So I want to talk to you guys about something called an algorithm. When I say algorithm, guys, for those of you guys who are here live, what am I talking about? What's an algorithm? It might take you back to sort of like your math days. Do you remember that word coming up in your math class all those years ago? I'm telling you, I don't think I would know or have the first clue about an algorithm had I not been in internet marketing. Because the last time I think I learned about algorithms was clear back in like my algebra days in high school or college. Catherine says it's a formulaic method. So put that in layman's terms, Catherine. What does that mean exactly? Laura says it's been a long time since she's heard that before. It's true, right? It was in like your 11th grade math class that you heard about algorithms. Well, the rest of you guys are kind of musing over it. I'll just, as it relates to internet marketing, an algorithm is basically, I guess the best way to put it is it's like a formula, right? It's talked a lot about in math because in math you use formulas all the time. But what's interesting is in search engines, the way they work is they work off of a really complex type of algorithm. And it's a formula for how they determine where to rank websites. For example, one of the target terms for our website here on Uptown Pearl that we're trying to rank for is like on this bracelets page, we want to rank for the word or the words pearl bracelet. So if I go to Google, I'm a potential customer here, and I'm in the market for a pearl bracelet. I'm going to type that into Google and do a search. And if I zoom in here, you guys can see this. Maybe you've never noticed this before, but look at this right here. It says about 6,030,000 results. So when I typed in pearl bracelet, Google basically went into its giant database of web pages. And according to Google, there's about 6 million web pages out there on the internet that could be related to pearl bracelet. It's a lot. That's a lot of pages, right? And the task Google has is they have to figure out, which of those 6 million plus pages on the internet, which should they rank first, and then second, and then third, and then fourth, so on and so forth. And we're looking right now at the very first page of search results. So these actually up here where my mouse is, I'm going to kind of highlight the ones that don't count here. Those are all paid advertisements. So that's different altogether. I could actually get Uptown Pearl right up there in 15 minutes if I wanted to, if I was willing to pay for it. But search engine people like us, SEOs that are trying to get rankings, we don't do paid ads. Or at least that's not our primary goal, at least with some of the things we've been talking about. We want to rank for free. And these ads right over here on the side, these are all paid ads as well. So those sites haven't necessarily done really great SEO. They're just paying to be there. It's these pages where we want to be. Right here. These aren't paid at all. This is Google just deciding what of these 6 million potential pages, and if you can really wrap your mind around that, right? 6 million pages, Google's deciding to rank these guys first. And my site's not on this first page. In fact, as I look here, and as I scroll down through several pages, my site isn't in the first few pages at all. In fact, I can't even find it yet, which is fine because we just did SEO on this page a few weeks ago. But it's a competitive phrase, and it's going to take some time to get rankings for it. But I guess my point is, guys, when I talk about an algorithm, Google has a really hard task because they've got so many pages to make sense of. So they put together this formula that basically ranks all the pages on the internet. So if I go and do a search query like I did right here, Google dips into their index. Using their formula, they basically decide who shows up at the top. Now, part of that formula is what we've been doing the last few weeks. That's on-site optimization. We've made our pages extremely relevant to certain keyword terms. In this case, pearl bracelet, I've made this specific category page right here very relevant, right? And we've done that through meta tags, and we've done that through unique content and the keyword phrase used throughout the content. And we've done alt tags and H tags, and if Google studies this page, which they have, they know it's very relevant to that. But I'm still not ranking yet. And the reason why is another part of that formula, guys, and this is what we're going to learn a lot about now, is there's something called links. It's kind of like a, well, I don't know, I'll just ask you guys, when I say link on the internet, what am I referring to? What's a link? I know it seems probably like a stupid question, right? It's like, hey, everybody knows what a link is, but define it for me. What is a link anyway? I know you guys are probably like, okay, come on, Trevor, right? We know what links are, but really, what are they? Okay, I'm going to read some of these responses. Frank says, other sites referring back to your site. Okay, that's true. That would be a link, but it's not exclusive to that. A link between yourself and another's business, Laura says, or sort of like references to different pages, references to a relevant topic, connection between specific sites or stores. That's very true, Bob and Delmy. Don says connections. That's really what it is, right? Like, the internet works through links because all these web pages that are created, they're all independent except for they link to each other, and so that's how we find different pages. For example, we're on Uptown Pearl right now. We're on the home page. If I'm going to be able to get over to the bracelets page, I got to click on the bracelets link, right? I click on the bracelets link, and it pulls me into the bracelets page. That's a link right there. And a link doesn't always necessarily need to be text either, right? A link could be a picture, which I've got here on the site. Here's a picture of one of my products. If I click on the picture, it links me over. So links are, they're kind of like the roadways of the internet, right? Our transportation system certainly wouldn't work if we didn't have roads, or at least not very well. And the internet's the same way. Links are just fundamental. But here's how that all applies to Google. Google actually uses links like their votes. So, right, like in an election, if you get lots of votes, you're elected, right? People vote for who they want to go into office. And that same concept is used for rankings online. In fact, if a certain web page gets a lot of these links, and we'll talk about from where, but if it gets a lot of links, that individual web page is going to rank a little bit higher. Okay, I'll see if I can maybe explain it just a little bit better. I'll draw it out for you guys. But think about it this way too. My wife and I, and our little girl and our little boy, we just this week there was a Facebook post that went out that said there was going to be this giant gathering of food trucks in one location. I don't know. Do you guys have that where you guys are at? Well, you know what I mean. Like, you guys obviously have seen food trucks, but they have these like giant conventions where all the different food trucks show up in one place. And then you can go into like a giant parking lot and you can choose which food truck you want to order dinner from or whatever. Right? Is that something that happens out? I mean, that's something they do in Utah here. Have you guys ever seen that happen where you guys are from? Like a food truck convention, I guess. It's really kind of cool. It was the first one I'd ever been to. But I remember when I got there, this was what day? This was Tuesday. When I got there that night, I looked around and there was 10 different food trucks, and it was like, okay, I've got all these choices. I've never tried any of these before. I want to make sure I make a good choice. So what I did is I, of course, and you guys probably do this on every once in a while too. I jumped on my phone and I Googled the name of the truck, the food truck. So I Googled it, and then next to it, I typed in the word review. Right? And all these review sites came up of people that were reviewing, their experience. If you guys have ever used Yelp, the app Yelp is that's a really good way to sort of see how good a restaurant is or a company is. You look them up on Yelp because there's a lot of reviews. So anyway, I found one that had like 4.5 stars. It had 300 reviews. And I was like, that's the one I'm going to try. And of course, it was great. All those reviews gave me some confidence to know that it was going to be a good decision to go ahead and try that specific food truck's food. And it worked. And I use my phone all the time to check reviews. So I tell you guys that because that relates directly to what we're talking about, because Google bases a big part of that algorithm I was telling you guys about off of this principle of referrals. And that's what these links are. It's like every link your website gets is almost like a positive referral for that page. And the more positive referrals you guys have, the more links you have, the more votes you have, however you want to visualize it, the more your Google's actually going to trust that page, and they're going to rank you at the top. Which makes sense too, guys, because if you think about it, the reason why Google is such a big search engine and everybody uses them is because they provide really good search results. Right? Like usually you do a search on Google, you can find what you want generally on the first page. And so they wouldn't be as good as they are unless they had really good search results. So they rely on this formula because they assume if a website has a ton of links pointing to it, there must be something good about it. Therefore, Google naturally is going to trust it and rank it higher. So I'm going to kind of draw this out a little bit, but hopefully this is kind of making a little bit of sense to you guys. Let me draw out. I think I've done this before, and pardon my drawing. I'm actually trying to draw with a mouse, so this might not be very good. I always have this idea in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just draw it out for my clients because that'll make a lot of sense. And then sometimes it doesn't turn out quite as good as I'd like it to. But let me try anyway. So let's take Uptown Pearl for just a second. I'm going to draw. Okay, this right here is going to be my Uptown Pearl homepage, right? I got my banner right here. I got my featured products right here. Right? You guys impressed yet with this glorious drawing? I've got some text here. Okay. This is Uptown Pearl. Okay? That's just my homepage though. And right now I'm trying to compete against I mean, you saw right here, I've got 6 million other pages I'm competing against for this keyword phrase, pearl bracelet. Now, what's interesting is just by virtue of what we've done the last few weeks, optimizing a page really well. Actually, this example won't work because I'm not optimizing my home page for pearl bracelet. I'm optimizing one of my categories. So let's draw this out even a little bit more. Remember, I've got 3 categories that come off my home page. Okay, so we'll draw out my 3 categories here. And I'm not going to do it in all this great detail like I did the home page. I know that was impressive to all of you guys. Okay, these are my categories, right? I have my, this is going to be my bracelets page. This is my earrings page. And this is my necklaces page. Okay. Right, there's all my content, my products, my information. Okay, so there's a link from my homepage to each of these pages, but we're talking about this page right here right now. This is our bracelets page. This is the one that we're trying to get to rank for that keyword phrase, right? And that's pearl bracelets. That's what I want to see this page rank on the first page of Google for. Right now, we just saw, like, I'm not even in the first 10 pages of Google. Not yet, anyway. But you know what, I will be if I start doing some of this link building that we're talking about. Whoops. E. There you go. Wow, that's really hard to actually draw and draw letters on this thing. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's my keyword phrase that I'm trying to rank for. All right, so I'm not ranking, obviously. I'm not on the first few pages. What is happening, though, if we go back to search results, is if you look at it, we've got Overstock, who's got the #1 search result. We've got Blue Nile at #2. We've got Ross Simmons at #3. We've got Tiffany.com at #4. If I'm gonna break into these top 4, I've got to replace one of those. And I've done really good optimization, so I've done half of what I need to. But right now, I can tell you for certain that this page right here doesn't have any inbound links. It doesn't have any links from other sources. There's not any news sites. There's not any blogs. There's not any forums. There's not other pages on the internet that are linking to my bracelets page. That's probably why I'm not showing up very high, because Google doesn't trust this page right now. My competitors, though, who are ranking on the top, they have more inbound links than me. And so therefore Google trusts them much better. Had I been getting inbound links to this page from random websites on the internet, right? Let's say here, this one's a blog that's linking into my bracelets page. And this one right here, this is this will be a news site, right? They're linking to my bracelets page. And then over here, let's just say there's an article written out on the internet, and they're linking into my bracelets page. If I'm bringing in these individual links, all these pages are simply just voting for my bracelets page to rank higher, and I'm going to start climbing up towards the top of the search engine. That's the missing link. You can't just optimize and expect high rankings for competitive keywords. I've gotten away with it occasionally. If I optimize well for a non-competitive keyword, a lot of times I'll rank just because I optimized and did all the things that we've talked about the last few weeks. But if I've done this, right, and I've done it, and for a month now, I've sat there and waited, and I haven't seen any rankings, guys, I absolutely have to start getting inbound links to that page if I want to start pulling decent rankings. That's the only way I'm going to be able to compete for those first page rankings. Okay, guys, does that kind of make sense? I'm going to stop for a sec just to make sure we're all on the same page. Does that make sense? You guys have questions about that? If you do, let's have you go ahead and type it in the comment box there. It's a trust system. I'm just trying to earn the trust and respect of Google. And that algorithm we're talking about, essentially, it's basically looking for these links. And I don't have any, therefore my rankings are going to suffer a little bit. Because all things equal, you know, if Google's comparing all these pages and they want to make sure they're ranking something that's going to be for sure adequate or sufficient for the person who's doing a search, they don't want to take a risk on a new site a lot of times. Because what if my site's not very good? If Google made a living out of returning results in their search engine for sites that were brand new that didn't have any links, they'd be rolling the dice, because there'd be some poor sites that would show up and people would stop using Google. But they don't. They're smart about it. They're only going to rank pages for competitive phrases that have all these inbound links built. Okay, so let me see some of your questions so far. This is kind of high level stuff, guys. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of sort of like how to get links and where these links come from, and we'll get into that soon, but not yet. We'll be talking about that probably another time. I want to go high level here tonight. Linda says, how do you get links from others? That is the golden question right there, right? Like, if you guys understand this well, if you can figure out a good system to get a lot of these links from other people, you're going to do well in Google. So that's principle number one. When it comes to link building, you need, here I go trying this again, quantity. Okay? We need lots. We need lots of these links. Okay? Which, funny enough, Will, you just it's like you read my mind. Will says, how many inbound links do you need? Okay, well, that's a good question. So we know we need a lot of them, but how many? Well, that depends on how competitive the phrase is. Remember when we were showing you guys before how Moz would show us different percentages for the keyword phrases? I mean, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but just as a refresher, if I go to Moz and I use their keyword analysis tool, like we've been teaching you guys to use, I'm gonna open it up really fast and show you guys this. Okay, I'm gonna type in pearl bracelet, and I'm gonna check difficulty. Let me zoom in on this so you guys can see. With a little luck, this will pop right up. I think it was, without checking my spreadsheet, I'm pretty sure it was in the 40s somewhere. Yeah, there you go. See that? Hopefully you guys can see that number right there. That's 41%. Okay, so that percentage basically represents the difficulty of how hard it's going to be to rank for that keyword phrase. Well, a lot of that percentage comes from Moz's analysis on how strong the pages are, how strong the competition is. And if a higher percentage keyword phrase here would need more links, most likely, a lower percentage keyword phrase would need fewer links. So to answer your question, Will, how many inbound links do you need or do you recommend? My answer to that is as many as it takes to lock up a first page result. And that could be 15 links, that could be 2 links. It really depends on this score. And then a couple other factors that I'll share with you guys here in just a second. Ashley's wanting an example. Yeah, we'll do an example here in just a sec. Laura says, so basically the best way to earn links is how? Start your own blog, comment on other blogs, write articles, things of that nature. Yeah, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of different ways that you can earn links. And my hope is if you guys can really understand this concept, we're going to start employing really new workable link building strategies subsequently in some of our webinars, and I'll let you guys try some of the ones that are proven to work. There's natural ways to get links. There's ways that you can get links forcibly by doing things for yourself. There's a lot of stuff like that. So we'll talk about that too. Let me see what else we've got. Frank says, are these links requested by you, or do they just like to refer it on their own? Both, actually, Frank. There's strategies involved for you to go out there and actually, seriously, so you send a website an email and you say, hey, will you link to my site? And here's why you should link. Your users would find it useful because, etc. You fill in the blank. You can ask directly, which is effective in some cases. Other times it makes a lot of sense for you to naturally attract them. And there's ways to do that too. Do we have to worry about linking to other people's pages? Essentially the concept being, and you put it in quotes here, Laura, scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. So what you're talking about is two pages that are sort of voting for each other, right? It's like, let's say I own a site, Uptown Pearl here. Laura, you own your site, and I say to you, hey, I'll link to you if you link to me, and then we put links on the pages of our site to help each other out. That used to work a while back. Google has X'd that out of their algorithm. That doesn't work anymore because they know it's kind of a way to cheat. I could just go to you and we could reciprocal link. That's what they call it. Link to each other. It's out of their algorithm. It doesn't help us anymore. Every once in a while, I don't know if you guys have heard, but Google updates their algorithm once a year, a couple times a year. And when they update the algorithm, everybody in the marketing world goes crazy because they want to see what they did to change it. And sometimes they give us clues. That was something that used to work. Doesn't really work anymore. Araceli says, do you have a list of sites we can get links from? And to some extent, yeah, there's some proven places that you guys can get an easy link for sure. We'll be talking about that, no question. So, Bob and Delmy, you sum it up by saying keywords are important for optimization, which is only half for ratings. Links are the other half. Yeah, exactly. Links. I mean, we're talking. It's two-part equation here for us. If you guys optimize the way we taught you to optimize, and you link build the way I'm teaching you to link build, you guys will achieve high rankings in Google. You will for sure. Like, that's the big secret. Those two things. You obviously have to do them well, and link building has some do's and don'ts, which we'll be talking about. The important thing tonight is that you guys understand the value of a link and what kind of links we're looking for, and then we'll be talking specific strategies as we go along. Will says, how many different sources should we retrieve inbound links from? And I'm going to add that to our list here. This is kind of the second big principle of link building. We really want a diverse link profile. Okay? We want diversity. So, like, I can't, if I'm trying to get Uptown Pearl's bracelet page to rank high, I can't go to one of these sources. Like, this is the blogging source, right? Let's say this is one blog right here, and I keep getting links from all sorts of different pages, right? Like, they link to me from one of their blog posts, and then they link to me with another blog post, and then from another one. If I'm getting all of my links from this one source right here, that may not be enough. Usually what Google likes to see is diversity. They like to see that I've got some blog links, some directory links. Maybe I've got a link from a news site. Maybe I've got a link from an edu site. You know what I mean? Like a .edu or a .gov. Those usually are sort of higher value links. So number 3 here on my list that I'm going to put down here is we don't want just quantity. It's not just a numbers game. We don't want just diversity. We've got to have quality as well. Not all links are created equal. And seriously, this is huge right here. So if you guys take anything away from what we're talking about tonight, these 3 points. Links are important. We've talked about why on kind of a higher level. It's part of Google's algorithm. What type of links? How many do we need? What kind of quality? This right here, this is what we need to focus on. We need to have a lot of links that come from various places, various types of sites. .coms, .edus, blogs, news sites, informational sites, whatever. And then we need high quality links. Quality is something I want to talk about for just a second. I'm going to leave this up for like another 15 seconds, and then I'm going to erase this and talk more about quality. Okay. In fact, maybe I'll just. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. Let me just erase some of this right here. Ask some more questions while I'm clearing a couple of these things out. I want to leave our 3-step formula up here for just a second. I just want to erase a couple of these. There's got to be a faster way to erase. Sorry guys. I've only used this drawing tool a little bit in some of my webinars. I clearly need to practice before I do one of these. Okay, there we go. I'm going to leave some of that other stuff below. Lorna just asked, what's an EDU? An EDU is this. This is where I went to school. This is where I got my college education. I went to BYU. They're local here in Utah. I want you to notice something about their web address up here. It's home.byu. It's not a .com. It's a .edu. It's an educational link, or it's an educational site. So that instead of a .com, they've got a .edu. And Google actually, they like .edus because Google knows they're not easy to get links from. And so this actually goes right into my next point, Lorna. I'm glad you brought this up. But let's go back here and let's take 2 pages, for example. So let's use an example from one of your guys' sites. Who wants to volunteer their site real quick? Or at least the topic of their site. Yeah, Bob Delmy, go ahead. Let's take a page from one of your sites, or from one of your pages. Hold on, let me find it here. I'm gonna take your you've got a sort of like a fragrances page on your site, and it looks like, tell me if this is true, but you guys are trying to optimize around the phrase good smelling perfumes, right? At least for one of these pages. Okay, so Bob and Delmy, good smelling perfumes. That's a page that we want to actually get a top Google rank for. Now notice here, there's about 483,000 different sites or different pages for good smelling perfumes. But let's just use them as an example here. Let's say we'll say this is Bob and Delmy's site, or this is their page. And then let's say I have a site competing directly with you guys. Let's say I have a perfume page as well. So this is going to be my page right here. And we're both competing against each other for this top ranking for what we just said, good smelling perfumes, right? That's our keyword phrase. So I know there's other sites, but this will just be a good example if we just take these 2 pages. Good smelling perfumes. Bob Delmy, do you guys remember off the top of your head what the Moz percentage was for this? Okay, no, that's okay. I can't remember. I guess we can look it up real quick. Let's just check. Good smelling perfumes. Let's check the difficulty on that. But back to your point, Lorna, you said what's a .edu, and this is also to the point of this number 3 here, quality. Let's say Bob and Delmy, let's say your guys' site has a link from BYU.edu. byu.edu. Okay. How did you get that link? Well, let's say, guys, you had a page on your site that actually talked about a really like a way that you could make your own perfume, right? Let's say there was this really cool page on your site. You did a bunch of research and you wrote this really cool informational page on your site that talked about how to make your own perfume. And let's say the BYU science department used that in one of their classes or whatever, and they were using the professor found it and was using it, and on the science portion of the BYU site, they actually linked over to your page and said, oh, by the way, this is the site that had that information. So they put this link on BYU's site and they linked back to Bob and Delmy. Okay, so you guys got a one-way inbound link right to your site from a really high-quality website, an EDU. Let's say there's me on the other hand, and let's say that's the only link you guys have. You guys don't even have any other links. It's the only link you guys have to that page. And then there's me over here, and let's say I've got here's a link from a random blog that points to me. I've got a link from a low-quality gambling site. Google actually hates gambling sites, but let's say for some reason they link to me. Low quality, it's not really helping me that much. I got another link from like a spam site for some reason. Let's say I was going out there and just getting a bunch of crappy links, and you guys can. Like if you go out there, remember how I was showing you guys Fiverr the other day? Fiverr has like these crappy link building campaigns. You can pay somebody $5 and they'll get you a bunch of links, but they're usually crap. So they're like really low quality websites that aren't very popular versus Bob and Delmy. You guys just got a one-way link from byu.edu, a very well-recognized, well-used, well-respected website. I've got 25 links from all sorts of different places, but none of them are very high quality. You guys will probably outrank me. All things equal, we both have done optimization on our pages. There's a good chance you guys outrank me because you guys have a link that's much better. And if you guys got several really high quality links, maybe you have several EDUs and you've got a really popular blog here that's linking to you as well. But then you've got some low quality links that are linking back to you. I mean, even a low quality link can be helpful as long as it's not from it's just known in the world of link building. If you have a link from a gambling site, a pornography site, and I don't know why you would get a link from a site like that, a spam site, that doesn't have anything useful. It's a bunch of copied duplicate content. Like if you get those kind of links, those can actually not help you but hurt you a little bit. So I mean, the rule here is when you're doing link building, you don't go after all the crappy low quality ones all the time. You want a little bit of that because like we talked about, number 2 here, we want some diversity. We don't want all EDU sites. We want some .coms, we want some blogs, some forums, some EDUs. We want some diversity, and we want some high quality, and we want some quantity. But like we talked about earlier, we don't necessarily like as much to get a link from like an EDU site like this and then link back to them. That's not going to be helpful. So if BYU linked to you guys and you guys linked back to BYU, that's actually going to sort of nullify the link. Google's not going to count that for much. So I guess the last point I want to make here for number 4 is I'm going to change the color here back to black. Number 4, we want one-way links, meaning the site links to you, you don't necessarily link back to them. Okay? Now, there's some other little nuances that we can talk about. I'm going to bring up one other small thing, and then I'm going to open it up to more questions, and then we'll finish up. Tonight's goal, guys, is just kind of high level. I want you guys to understand the theory behind link building. And then I promise you we'll get into the nuts and bolts about sort of how to get those links, different strategies. How do I go out there and get an EDU link? Or how do I get a blog to link to me? Or how do I find really good quality ones? How can I see who's linking to my competitors, and how can I get their links? There's a lot of cool things that we can do with this. But I'm going to say number 5 down here. We want links that have what's called anchor text. Okay. Well, I'm going to say anchor text that's relevant. Okay. I'm not going to write it because I'm just going to assume you guys know what I mean here. Anchor text that's relevant. Okay. And I'll explain that. So you guys will notice a link, like a text link. You guys can create text links, and I'll show you one right here on Uptown Pearl. On my homepage, I created a text link right down here, and I'm going to zoom in on this. This is from some of my text here. UptownPearl.com carries, and notice how I have pearl necklaces, pearl earrings, and pearl bracelets. And these words actually link. So what's interesting about this is my link anchor text, which anchor text is simply just whatever the words are in the link. In this case, pearl necklaces is linked. Because we've been using the example of pearl bracelets, I'll just keep going on that. Because the link actually says pearl bracelets, and it points back to my pearl bracelets page, that right there is a positive SEO signal for that keyword phrase. Okay, I'll give you guys an example. Back in the day, this was a while ago that this used to work. It doesn't work on the same scale, but they call it a Google bomb. And a good example of this, it was all over the news. This was back in the day, and by no means do I want to get political here, because I don't know your guys' political preferences. And this is not the forum to get talking politics. But what's kind of funny is a big group of activists that didn't like George W. Bush created lots of inbound links on different blogs and different news articles that linked to his bio. Like he had a bio page with the government, right? This was back when he was president. So like hundreds, if not thousands of links pointing to his bio page. And what was funny about it is they created anchor text for those links. And the anchor text, when you would click on the link, the actual text was miserable failure. That was the text. Okay, so if you can imagine, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of links that used anchor text called miserable failure, or that was written miserable failure, and it linked to the president's page on whitehouse.gov. And so they did that because they understood the principle of SEO, or at least of link building, that if you have relevant text in the anchor of a link, that actually influences search. So then what happened is if you did a Google search for miserable failure, the president's bio page was the #1 result. And you'll have to look it up. It was all over the news. Look up, if you guys get a minute, look up Google bomb President Bush, and you guys will see this. And what's funny about it is obviously there was nothing on his bio page that used the words miserable failure. It's not like there was any optimization for that. But because he had thousands of links pointing to that page that used that anchor text, Google assumed that his page was about miserable failure. So if you did a Google search for it, up came his bio page. Right? Interesting. And it hit the news, and it was a big deal. This was years ago. They've downplayed this a little bit. It's not as strong anymore, but the principle still remains. A lot of times, if you can get anchor text that's your target keyword phrase from your link, and it's linking into that page, that's going to help you from an SEO perspective. Okay? We can do a whole webinar on that in and of itself, but I think this is a pretty good high-level discussion about, the do's and at least the do's of link building. These 5 points, I'm going to say, if you can take good notes on those and understand them going into your link building campaign, Like this can end up being really, really good for you, and we can compete with anybody. I've got sites where I outrank big names like Walmart or Amazon, sites that always show up high. Like even the little guy, the brand new website that understands these principles of SEO can actually outrank these people if you apply these principles in conjunction with the principles of good optimization that we've been talking about. Okay, that's what link building is. Okay, so let me get over to your guys' questions, and I know we don't have a lot of time left here, so we'll answer some questions and then finish up and get you guys out of here. If you guys are new to this, like you're just learning about internet marketing, hopefully this didn't fly over your head too much. I think this makes sense though, right? This is the other side of the equation. I really think if you guys learn this and do it well, you can compete with anybody. Kirk says, why does Google hate gambling sites? Because there's a lot of spam gambling sites, I think. There's a lot of like really, really crappy ones that are out there trying to get new people gambling, or like there's lead sites that try to get you over to other gambling sites, and they're just generally understood by Google to be low quality, not providing a lot of value other than to get you to spend your money and gamble. And so that's just not something you want to get links from. So I'm not sure all the whys behind it. It's just generally understood not to be very high quality. Let's see what else. Sam says the trick is just to get our coach to get links for us. That would be nice, wouldn't it? That would be nice. That's why a lot of SEO agencies, if you guys have noticed, if you go out there and pay somebody to do link building for you, it's just so expensive. Really, really expensive. And I just think that's kind of what our program is built on. It's like if we can teach you guys and train you guys on this stuff ourselves, why can't you just do it, right? It's not like this stuff is hard. You just have to take the time to learn it. You do it for yourself, you're going to save thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. It makes a lot of sense. So having your suppliers linked to your page should be considered a quality link, right? Yeah, probably. What makes something quality, there's some different factors that go into, what Google sees as a quality link. An interesting one is they like websites that have been around for a while. So if your supplier's been online for 10 years, that's a positive signal to Google that they're a more quality site. So just the age of the domain makes it more quality. Or one way to know if a page is quality is if it has a lot of inbound links. So I'll bet your supplier, having been around for 10 years, probably has a lot of inbound links to it. And if they turn around and link to you, that's going to be hugely, that's going to make a big impact for you, especially you being a brand new site. You need those kind of links. So what oftentimes, I guess the best definition of a really quality link is if you're getting a link from somebody who already has a lot of links to them. That's really a definition. If I'm a brand new site and I link to you and you're a brand new site, that's probably a low quality link. That's okay. It's not going to hurt you, but it's not going to help you tremendously. But if I'm an aged site, I've been around for 7 or 8 years, and I've got a ton of links coming back to me, and I'm getting rankings in Google. If I turn over if I turn around and link to you, that's going to be hugely influential. It's like if you're trying to get into a prestigious business school, and they always have you. I don't know if you've ever, some of you guys who have some higher education, part of getting a master's, or I think a lot of master's programs or doctorate programs require references from people, right? And if you get a reference, if I got a reference from President Obama, and I got a reference from the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, right? And I got a reference from Mark Zuckerberg recommending me for Harvard Business School, that'd probably weigh heavily on the minds of the people that are responsible to let me in. But if my references are from nobodies who haven't done anything and aren't really that well known, it's probably not going to help my chances in getting into Harvard Business School. And that's the same principle here. If you're getting a link from a high quality site that already has a lot of links and ranks well in Google, that's going to be a much more influential link. That's why when we did this example over here with the BYU link, they're obviously a high quality link, and that's why Bob and Delmy outranked me, because they had that link and I didn't. Let's see what else here. Lorna asked, what is SEO, or what does that stand for? So SEO is search engine optimization. That's like the process of trying to get a website to rank high. So when people talk about SEO or hiring an SEO company or doing SEO, it's just the process of trying to get a website to rank high in Google. That's the idea. So guys, tell me honestly, after talking about this for 45 minutes, is this making sense? Right? Like, can you guys see sort of the value behind link building and why it's important? I hope you can. This is the whole purpose of today's webinar. This is the other side of the equation, right? If somebody now walked up to you guys and said, they said, hey, I've got this brand new website. I want it to rank high in Google. What do I do? What's important? You guys should pretty concisely be able to say exactly what they need to do. They need to optimize effectively, and they need to link build. And if you put those two pieces together and you do them well, you'll dominate the search engines. Now you can be sloppy about it. You can optimize for keyword phrases that aren't very good. Your optimization can be low quality. You didn't do a very good job on your content. You didn't optimize very effectively. You were quick about it. Instead of link building in a good methodical way, you went out there and paid for a bunch of crap links, spammy links, and those services are out there. You're not going to get good rankings. There's no way to fast track this necessarily without doing it the right way. Well, we want to do this. This is the secret to ranking high in Google, but you want to do it very methodically. You want to do it smart, and that's what we'll teach you how to do. We've taught you the optimization part, but I'm hoping to teach you guys the link building part as we go. Ashley, you say you're still a little bit confused. Anything specifically that's still a little confusing about it? I know some of the details probably aren't very clear to you guys yet, because I haven't really gotten into the nitty-gritty of this, how to actually get these links or where to do it. But hopefully from a high-level standpoint, you guys are starting to get it. Yeah, and Laura, I agree. It is a must for success. You guys could bypass the whole SEO part and try to build your marketing for your business through social media or through just paying to be in Google. But you put yourself kind of on the fast track if you're just going to pay for ads to spend a lot of money. Even social media, it's got its advantages, and we'll be talking about that. But I can speak somewhat authoritatively because I've had a website that was built just on SEO where we basically got 90% of our business through some high page rankings where we went through this process. And yeah, it was hard and it took a while at the start. And there were a few months there where we weren't getting a ton of traffic, but we were working really hard. And it's always frustrating when you work really hard and you don't see the result right after. It's like losing weight, right? Going to the gym. It's really painful and you don't see results at the start, but later on you see them, and it's obviously worth it, especially when you're talking link building for a business. Okay, so you guys, yeah, it looks like you guys are saying I see the why. I need to understand the how more. Yep, we're going to definitely do that. Yeah, Catherine, I can sympathize with this. Let me read this comment to you guys real quick. Catherine says it makes sense and is valuable, but it's also depressing. So much work to get the website to rank. When are we going to be able to make money? That's a great question, right? Like the SEO part is time consuming. The link building is time consuming. But I want you to kind of put at least for the SEO part. There's other things in marketing that can yield visitors a little quicker than this, and those are things that we'll talk about. But I just think if you put on your long-term vision goggles and you think about this business in 5 years' time, if you do this well and this gets you solid Google rankings, what's great about that? You're not paying for those. Yeah, you're paying for them with your time right now, but in 6 months, 8 months, whenever you start getting huge amounts of traffic from this, a couple years from now, as you're sitting back and you're collecting sales off of your site just because of all this work you did early on, it's really satisfying. It really is. It's almost like saving for retirement a little bit. It's like you don't see the benefit right away. You wait a few years and that compound interest works for you, and your bank account grows exponentially, right? Because of your investments. So you're glad you did it. That's kind of what this is. There's other ways to get traffic more quickly, and those are things that we'll talk about, Catherine. So I think there's value to that too, no question. We're almost over time here. I'll answer just a couple more questions and then we'll finish up. Yeah, a lot of you guys kind of agreed with Catherine there. It can be a little demoralizing if you think about it in the short term, but the SEO has to be thought about more in the long term. And I don't want to diminish the possibility of you guys doing optimization and doing a little bit of link building and seeing some immediate results, because you probably will. And I have with sites. So I don't want to say this is all long term, because that's not necessarily true either. You optimize something well and start some of your link building, and you guys could be breaking the first page of Google for a lot of competitive terms early. So it's mainly long term, but it's got some short term benefits too, and those are what kind of keep you going. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry I haven't been able to get to everybody's comments. I've tried my best. You guys have been very, very good tonight. I appreciate all the participation. Really hope this has been instructive. We're going to get into the details more as we go, and we're going to continue this on Thursday evening. So plan on coming next week if you can. We'll probably do more link building. We may start talking about specific strategies that you guys can implement right away, and then we'll take it from there. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks again for coming, and we will see you next time.